Throat singing is a way of singing which uses the two fundamental vocal techniques that are not normally used when speaking, when communicating verbally, or when singing normally. um, Throat singing is basically proof of how creative humans have been in history, actually. You know, that music itself is a proof of human creativity, because singing, people didn't, if we go back, people have used the voice to communicate for millions of years, but singing has not been necessary for survival, and yet we see that in pretty much every culture there is singing. So this is really good to think about. And when it comes to throat singing, like I said, there is two fundamental techniques. There is the chest voice. There is other ways to call it, but I will call it chest voice, like in Tuvan, horekter, because if I say in other ways, then it will be confusing, so I will just say chest voice. So there is the chest voice, and there is the sub-harmonic voice, which is basically using the muscles here to vibrate, which creates a lower note. It's like singing with two voices at the same time. So basically, the way I learned throat singing is through Humei, which Humei is Central Asian throat singing in Turkic and Mongolic people in Central Asia. And Humei is basically, what they did is that they took the two techniques, and based on these two techniques they developed a variety of styles, and each style is fundamental, it's symbolic for an element of nature or landscape, like mountains, sky, forest, river, and so on, plains, steppe, birds, wind, the sounds and the landscape. And so when you sing with that in those cultures, when you sing with the throat singing, you are not only just singing because it sounds cool, because it sounds like, yeah, it sounds good, but because it has a meaning. So here you are conveying meaning without using words. You see, language changes. Okay, you go back a thousand years ago, you wouldn't understand what people spoke 1,000 years ago, So words are really, and there's so many languages, but this is not based on language, it's conveying message based on a singing that is based on the anatomy of the human throat, which is the same for all of us. Okay, our throats, the anatomy of our throats is the same for all humans. So this is like a universal vocal sort of language, and it conveys a meaning. It's not really it's not necessarily like speaking, obviously, but it does convey a meaning if you. So in this video I will tell you about the two fundamental techniques, and I will also talk to you about how to learn them and how to practice them, and how I learned them and how I practiced them, and how much I sucked, how bad I was, but how much I learned from how much I sucked, from my suckage. I learned a lot from that, and I want to share that with you, if you don't mind. First, it is good to have a hydrated throat. Normally, if you sing, even if you sing normally, you need to drink water to have a hydrated throat. That is very good. You need to have a hydrated throat. You need to drink water, not a lot, but just make sure you don't sing when you have a dry throat, especially if you're throat singing. So the first style that the first of the two, because I said it's two fundamental techniques, the chest voice. Now the chest voice, like any of the, because throat singing is basically singing, okay, it starts from your normal voice. If you don't have a good enough like voice for singing normally, you need to practice your normal singing voice, and then, because if you don't have a strong singing voice, it's really not like that easy. You need to, it is really about the voice. The harmonics, the overtones, that is, you learn it, that's like another level. First of all, you need to learn the vocal techniques, because the harmonics are just a reflection of the voice. If the voice is not good, the harmonics will not be good. So starting with the chest voice is basically, and I want you to make this exercise, I want you to take in a deep breath, just as deep as you can, but not forcing, it shouldn't hurt, but just take a deep breath. And let it out. This is something that you don't normally do without a reason. You don't need to breathe like this. As a matter of fact, we don't breathe like this normally. But this is good as an exercise. Breathe in and breathe out. Now breathe in and then let it out with the voice. With your normal voice first. Just let it come from your chest. Okay. We see that if you don't push from the throat, you just, because when we speak, we are using air, but we are using our throats more. When we speak, but no, here is like, I am just letting the air come out, and it is the only thing that is coming through and make my voice come. And when you run out of air, you stop, you take another breath. Another time I do this again and holding one note. But now what we want is that we want to keep this longer. We want to hold this breath for longer, okay? So we want to apply a constriction so that there is less air coming through. And first you will start by applying a mild constriction. So it will sound like a mild way of throat singing. And this is what you will start with, and then you will make it stronger. So you are applying attention. Now I applied constriction here. I applied a constriction here. And by doing this, there is less air coming through and the voice is much more resonant. And without even doing anything, if you just hold one note without changing anything, you will probably be able to pick out different harmonics. In the beginning, do it for 5 to 10 seconds and then take another breath. If you do it when you are out of air, you sound like you're suffocating and you will build bad habits, so don't do that. Now you need to know that your voice is a spectrum. So there is no teleportation between the normal voice and the throat singing techniques. Okay? You're gradual. And what Mongolians, for example, did is that Mongolian scientists in throat singing, they did a 360-degree tour of your throat, of the human throat, and they classified each of the voices based on where the sound comes from and where the constriction is applied. So you can apply, for example, constriction higher in the throat, starting with the normal voice. And this is easier to do This is the first type of constriction that I applied. And this is normally used when singing in a higher register. So basically, it is a gradual transition. Like I said, your voice is a spectrum, it is a gradual transition, okay? A gradual transition. So I will start with the normal voice, and then coming from the constriction will start from here, and then it will move up, and you can connect it to the nose. You can also use the nose to amplify the sound by singing not only through your mouth but also opening the nose passage. This is my normal voice, and this is the voice where the constriction is coming from here, and that is coming from here, and then to my nose as well. Now this is back to my normal voice. So it's good to learn to control it. You can make it softer, you can make it harsher, you can make it louder or quieter. The one that I am most familiar with is the Tuvan variant, which is using the constriction from here. I'm not specialized in, but obviously because when I learned, because you see, before getting to the Tuvan variant, I also tried other, and I basically did what I could do with my voice. I discovered everything on myself, so I can know how my throat works. Basically, I found out how my throat works. So the first time I said like I did the, and then I learned how to do it from here. So basically, what I want you to do in the beginning, in order to be able to learn this, because this was a demonstration, okay? So now I will start speaking with the typical chest voice, which is used in Tuvan throat singing, which is the sound is coming from, the constriction is here, is right here, and we can also make it up, we can turn it up, we can keep it in here. So you see that my voice right now sounds different. If I take a deep breath and I just let everything come out, and this is the way that, because the breath is very important, so you need to make this exercise. Take a deep breath. Okay, so this is, just so you tell, because this is my normal voice, and it sounds like a different voice, but coming from you. You know, it's like there's a different person speaking almost. Not really, but kind of. You know. So to learn this voice, okay, one exercise in order to be able to learn this voice would be. Probably the neighbor thinks I'm crazy because he doesn't see that I'm speaking to a camera, so he thinks I'm speaking to myself. But I don't really care about that. So, in order to learn this voice, like I said, breathing is important. Okay? And you can do it without sound, without voice. Like you make like a hiss, you know? So you learn how to use these muscles here. Okay? And once you learn this voice, you can try to learn to sing with it. Always breathe. So I will start to sing like this with my voice. Oh, your voice is beautiful if you know how to use it. So I can make it softer and I can make it louder. And the subharmonic voice is basically, like I said, because there's two techniques. The second is subharmonic voice. And that is basically when you start with your normal voice, you create a kind of a sort of a similar to the chest voice, but not as sort of pronouncedly tense. So if I speak like this, you know, this is my normal, and then I can speak like this, you know, and then you add the vibration to that. So you have and this is the higher variant, but now you go lower. You start with this. This is the normal voice, and now and there's two wasps around here, but I hope that, and then you add a vibration to this, okay? So this is the lower variant. This, by the way, just so you know, this is for the mountain. This is symbolic for the mountain. And this is for the step. This is symbolic of the step. And these are the two colors of and if you can go from lower to higher, and you notice that it changes the voice, because the first the lower, fuck man, there's too many wasps around here. This is in front of my fucking front door, and yet there's. I think I'll be changing places, you know. Sorry for this, but I don't want to get stuck. These are actually really painful, you know. There's not just regular ones. This is really painful. So I'm sorry for this unexpected change in perspectives, but I will have to do what I can and continue it like this, you know. I'm sorry. So when you start with the lower variant, and obviously for this you don't inhale as much air. Normally when you sing with any style, you know, when you take a deep breath all the way in, when you sing lower in a lower register, you don't really, you take a breath, but not really all, like not all, full, you know, like completely 100%, like your lungs are completely full with air. So, because if I take the deep, which is a breath which is too deep, it's like puts too much pressure here. So if I want to sing a deeper note, I don't breathe in as much air. So you see, just like with my normal voice, when I go higher, it's like coming from higher, you know. So with this voice, with the sub-harmonic voice, here the vibration is sound coming from lower in the throat, and then as I go higher, it changes. You see this change? This is low, this is high. Low. Low in the throat, high in the throat, low in the throat, high in the throat. Low in the throat, high in the throat, low in the throat, high in the throat. And then take a deep breath when you feel that you don't have air. Just make sure when your throat gets dry, you need to replenish it with water. I think I'll be sitting back here because the wasps seem to have gone away, luckily. So, like I said, the note, basically when you sing lower, okay, you see that there's this change. And if you want to keep it low, that's not good, because if you go higher, you cannot keep it low, you know, unless you do a different style, which I'm not going to cover here. No, here it automatically changes. So if you sing like this, you will learn something new, and people will look at you, but you won't mind. And when I'm singing here, 'cause it's higher, I take a deeper breath. But when I go down, I don't take as much deep breath as when I'm up right here. And my neighbors think I'm crazy, but I don't care. 'Cause this is my voice, this is my throat, and this is how I sing. So this is good for exercise, you know? There's also a variant which is coming from very deep in the throat. But I won't teach you this because this is really, really advanced, so yeah. So thank you for watching this, and if you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe and just try it yourself. The way you, in the beginning, like try the normal voice and try just mildly. Mildly. Just try to find it, you know? Just try. Likewise with the chest voice. With your normal voice style, with a normal voice, and then mildly add that tension. And then you can switch from this, you can slip into the other. Just add the vibration to this, and don't do it too rough because you will harm your vocal folds. Take it easy. Okay, so thank you for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe. Remember, first of all, the principles of throat singing. First of all, breathing, okay, breathing, so the respiration or breathing. Remember, your voice is a spectrum, okay? Start gradually transitioning into a throat voice from your normal voice, and experiment, and don't try too rough from start, and don't do it too loud, okay? Controlling your voice is also very important. Water is the third. Like I said, drink water, is keep your throat hydrated. Don't drink with a sore throat, with a dry throat, and always stop when your throat starts to hurt. Don't do it too much. So this was it, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye, and I hope that you will try and hear how your voice sounds like with practicing these techniques.